Hello, everyone. Today I am going to be giving a basic overview of the OPWDD eligibility process for families who may be considering applying. The Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, commonly known as OPWDD, provides a wide range of supports for qualifying individuals. These supports can include, but are not limited to, care coordination, therapies, behavioral supports, social skills programs, in-home and agency-based respite, vocational training, supported employment, day programming, community rehabilitation staffing, and housing support, whether in a residential, group home, or supported apartment setting. It should be noted that while a child is still in school, OPWDD will only provide wraparound supports, as the New York State Education Department is required to provide many of these things. Once an individual has aged out of the school setting, OPWDD supports expand. In order to apply for OPWDD, you must fit a basic set of criteria. First, you must be diagnosed with a developmental disability prior to the age of 22. The diagnosis is expected to be permanent, and the diagnosis will impact the individual's ability to lead a fully independent, gainfully employed life. Obviously, the concept of whether someone will be independent can be very subjective, so OPWDD requires applicants to submit documentation to support that determination. When applying, the following documentation must be included. First, a qualifying diagnosis with a medical specialty report where required. Diagnosis may include intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, genetic disorders, neurological impairments, and autism spectrum disorder. Neurological impairments includes many of the diagnoses that you do not see here that may also cause developmental disabilities. For an autism spectrum disorder, it requires a medical specialty report with an ADOS or ADIR assessment. That is because, as is seen in the name, the spectrum can lead to a wide range of ability levels for the individual. IQ scores are also required through standardized testing measures with licensed personnel, such as a psychiatrist or a psychologist. IQ scores affect what a person's qualifying diagnosis will be for the application. For example, for an individual with an IQ score less than 60, their primary diagnosis, regardless of other diagnoses, would be considered intellectual disability. For those with an IQ score of less than 60, most individuals are automatically eligible for OPWDD services. If the individual's IQ score falls between 60 and 70, they are also considered a primary diagnosis of intellectual disability. However, for those with these IQ scores, they do not automatically become eligible and must include other supportive documentation that we will discuss in a moment. For those with an IQ score greater than 70, you are not automatically disqualified, but you must be able to demonstrate that aside from intellectual impairment, you have other behavioral challenges that may make it difficult for you to be independent as an adult. Adaptive behavior scores are the next requirement. And again, for those with higher IQ scores, behavior scores are especially important to demonstrate that need. An assessment for an adaptive behavioral score may include the ABOS or Vineland. These are the most common. However, there are other behavioral scores available and utilized by licensed personnel. Along with these assessments, you also need to have a psychological and psychosocial report. These reports are a narrative of the assessment results, essentially explaining how these numbers will impact a person's ability to live independently, and will give recommendations as to the level of need for the individual. These assessments must be no more than 3 years old, and the medical specialty report from within the last year. The good news is that other than the medical report, the rest of these assessments are included in an individual's IEP and redone every 3 years as part of a triennial assessment. So they can be obtained through your school. If you have already aged out of school and are not within that 3 years, it may be more difficult. However, most licensed personnel, such as psychologists, neurologists, or psychiatrists, can complete these assessments. Applying for OPWDD may seem like a daunting process. It is a lot of paperwork that is involved that a family member must be able to assist with and collect for the individual. However, for the long-term care of that individual, it is imperative that a family pursue this process so that supports are in place both while they are a child as well as when they are an adult and may not have another family member available to care for them. There's a lot of organization that's involved and certainly a lot of patience, but it is worth it. The process can take months, however, so it is recommended you start as early as possible. If you'd like assistance with the application, which can be found on OPWDD's website or through the links in our newsletter, or if you have questions, we'd be happy to help. Call or email to schedule your free benefits advisement session with the Long Island Advocacy Center, and we can walk you through the process.